Hello everyone, with the Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Friday evening, November 21, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you all like this video. I'd really appreciate it if you all get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section, but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the has been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Taking a look at the U.S. National Hurricane Center's 7-day graphical tropical weather look that came out at 6:13 p.m. Jamaica time. Tropical cyclone activity is not expected during the next 7 days, and this is the reason why not much of anything here across the Atlantic that's trying to develop. Just some troughs here and there, frontal systems here and there, nothing trying to develop and acquire the name Nestor at all. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see a frontal system right here extending from northern portions of North Atlantic all the way down to the north of the Bahamas. Another frontal system extending from northern portions of North Atlantic that has induced a trough right here just to the northeast of the Lesser Antilles. Another trough right here just to the northwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. And we see the intertropical convergence zone right here extending all the way from Africa across the southern main development region into northeastern South America. And we can see what looks like a ridge of high pressure somewhere up here that we know is responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before we lost the sunlight, we can make out the frontal systems and the troughs, that one right here to the north of the Bahamas, that trough of low pressure right here to the northeast of the Lesser Antilles, the clouds associated with the intertropical convergence zone extending all the way from Africa into northern South America. And we can make out the low to mid-level flow of the clouds being steered from east to west, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure to the north. We can even make out the clouds associated with that other trough right here situated to the north of or the northwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. And we can even see the moisture associated with the trough that was to the southeast of the Dominican Republic. Then it was to the south of Hispaniola. And as you can see, it has now made it to the southwest of Jamaica. Most of the moisture definitely passed to our south today. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Friday, November 21, 2025. It was stated that rainfall could have been in the forecast for parts of northeastern Jamaica in the morning for Friday, and we would have gotten some rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes during Friday afternoon. On the northeastern parishes, we're talking about anywhere from St. Ann eastward, so St. Mary into Portland. And when we're talking about eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, and St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Ann, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? At around 2:25 p.m., the visible satellite images were posted not only here on our Twitter page with the Jamaica, but they were also posted on our Instagram page with the Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you cannot afford to miss. So we can see the clouds that will bring some overcast skies, if not some isolated showers in the morning for a portion of Portland into St. Mary, into St. Ann for sure. And then as you can see, we had a buildup of clouds. That convection started to take place, especially across sections of St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester into St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland. All of those areas that we saw the upper level clouds and the sparkling yellow dots that we know represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. Definitely got on some convection, so isolated thunderstorms across the island, especially the southern and western end. So we definitely got the rainfall across the eastern, central, and western parishes during the afternoon, and even in the late afternoon into the early evening, we still had some isolated thundershower activity taking place across northern St. Catherine into portions of St. Andrew. And if we take a look at the infrared satellite imagery, we can make out the convection, all of the cumulonimbus clouds that we know are represented by the blues into the greens into the yellows, oranges, especially across the southern and western parishes. So St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland. And as you note, the upper level wind shear is blowing those cloud tops off towards the east, just as we predicted it would in yesterday's video. And we can make out all of the sparkling white dust that we know represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, especially across northwest St. Elizabeth into eastern Westmoreland right there. And then that burst of convection quickly pushed off out to sea. Unfortunately, we don't have the Jamaican Doppler radar images to show, still down since this week began, but at least we have the live camera from See Jamaica's YouTube channel that was showing the flat bridge at around 4:08 p.m. and there we have it. We had some moderate, even some heavy rainfall taking place in the flat bridge area. People in their vehicles still going about their business. Boy, I don't know how they do it, because I wouldn't be one to be out there around the flat bridge area. You know, big rocks are falling out of the hills. Anything can happen. You have to be extremely cautious when you're driving around in this area. But people have places to go, and you know they can't bother with the toll, so they're taking quite the risk. But you know, God will keep you all safe, or keep us all safe. So as you can see, people in their vehicles going about their business at that time, even although they were getting some moderate to heavy rainfall at that time for sure. Rear Cobra definitely chilling, no murky water or anything like that. It has that greenish shade. And if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams all for you all to view for free. So subscribe today to our partner channels so that you don't miss out. Taking a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website. This map does indeed paint quite the picture for we had that rainfall today across sections of some northeastern and some southern parishes. So definitely eastern, central, and western parishes, especially during the afternoon hours. And we definitely have some comments that came in from some of our followers about what the weather was like in their area for today. We have Lomato actually making a comment this afternoon stating the storm overnight was wicked in Ochi. Woke up every time she repeatedly kicked off. Seemed worse than Melissa at times. That's crazy if they were getting in some crazy thunder showers, if not heavy rainfall last night. Thanks for confirming, Lomato. Even on our Facebook page, we have some comments that came in. Maxine Reese stating raining in Aberdeen, St. Elizabeth. That was posted 4 hours ago. Thanks for confirming. And we have Troy Oliver stating fine, but we all have our time, whatever that means. Alright, so what about on our Facebook page? We have Marlon _1 God _ stating Clarendon get rain. Thanks for confirming, Marlon. We have Shelly-Ann Man stating overcast Trinityville, St. Thomas. Thanks for confirming. And finally we have Abigail Rowe stating it rained heavily, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. Thank you all for confirming what the weather is like in your area for today. Alright, so let us reload the very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website. The latest Cuban Doppler radar, even though it looks like it glitched out. The latest Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar, so we don't have the Jamaican Doppler radar. And we still don't have the Cayman radar to show, unfortunately. So we have to work with the satellite image and hopefully the Cuban and the Guantanamo Bay radar. So as you can see here, 0025 UTC, which is actually 7:25 p.m. So this just came out 13 minutes ago, considering that it is 7:38 p.m. right now. And as you can see, just some leftover clouds from the thunder showers that were blown off out to sea that were exiting eastern Westmoreland and northwestern St. Elizabeth. So definitely not seeing the stars over there in St. Elizabeth, Manchester, and to Clarendon right now. There's no rainfall underneath these clouds. These are just some clouds that are being sheared off from the rainfall that exited the southwestern end of the island. But there could definitely be some rainfall right here out to sea to the east or the southeast of St. Thomas, and maybe to the far southwest of Jamaica. Let us see the Cuban Doppler radar. It is showing November 21, but it is still showing at around 11:10 a.m. and at that time we saw some rain bands right here to the northeast of Jamaica, to the south of us, to the west of us. And if we take a look at the Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar, so we're going to be looking at what's taking place right about now. All right, there we go. So this is showing 0016, which is actually 7:16, and as you can see, we're actually making out some other rainfall to the east of St. Thomas in the green. So we're actually seeing that rain band activity. Hold on, let's go back to the time. I wonder why it started up again and I paused it. All right, there we go. So the latest 0016 UTC, which is actually 7:16. So it's actually making sense that we're seeing the rain bands out to sea just to the east of us right out there. But given the flow, I don't think those rain bands are going to be coming into us. I think it's going to be pushing more west southwesterly. Then tomorrow we start getting back in on that easterly flow. Regarding the live camera right here from Sea Jamaica's YouTube channel, so this is the Barbican live camera. Let's turn it up to HD. As you can see here, we have people in their vehicles going about their business. One bicycle man right here with his light on, that's good. People walking about, going about their business. One man right here on his phone talking. Some people over here walking. That is good. Definitely fair conditions taking place across this part of St. Andrew as we speak. And that should be the order of the evening into the night, that fair weather condition for sure. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see about 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Saturday, temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 23 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Saturday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Saturday, and we can see Jamaica right here on the eastern to the central end embedded in the grays, on the western end embedded in the yellows. The grays, as you know, represents average temperatures. The yellows, as you know, represents up to at least 1 degree Celsius above average temperatures. We know the average temperature for the month of November across Jamaica is around 88 degrees Fahrenheit, and when that's converted to degrees Celsius that we use here in Jamaica, that's around 31.1 degrees Celsius. So given especially that the western end is shaded in the yellows, that represents 1 degree Celsius above normal temperatures, we know that the temperatures over there could reach up to 32.1 degrees Celsius at most. And regarding what is being updated from my JPS online Twitter page, so they are not showing any maintenance outage advisories for anybody over in this side of the island, but you know, they're still over there working hard. They actually reposted this repost from Shani. She stated, "This is a good thing, big up my JPS online," and this is the thing she was referring. The tropics posted just in. Negril has officially regained power for the first time since Hurricane Melissa tore through western Jamaica on October 28. And as you can see there, electricity is back. I'm sure that the people over there are very happy about that. We also have another post right here. This was another highlight from the JPS. Yesterday we spoke about the trucks on the ships. Nice to see that they're actually already going where they're supposed to go. Carrion posted, "The specialized trucks to help with JPS restoration are definitely here. Hang in there, my fellow Jamaicans, without electricity at this time." And we even have another post from the Jamaica Observer. All of these were reposted on JPS's Twitter page, but they've stated here, "Fix up back Jamaica. One motorist traveling along Marcus Garvey Drive in Kingston captured several bucket trucks being transported on Thursday." Just over a week ago, JPS President and CEO Hugh Grant said local equipment had been exhausted following Hurricane Melissa, and that the company planned to import 60 bucket trucks, pole digging units, and other machinery to speed up the restoration push. And there we go. Another truck right there. That is definitely good. We want everybody to be connected back to the grid. Alright, so if tomorrow is still going to be a bit too hot for you, it states here that if you want to beat the heat, you have to seek shade when you're outside. Eat fresh, try eating cold foods such as salads and fruit. Rest, make sure you get enough sleep and rest if you're feeling tired. Soak, take a cool shower bath to help you cool down. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water even if you're not thirsty, and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the queue on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites. Within those reds, we can see some dry air extending from Africa across the Cabo Verde Island, across the northern portion of North Atlantic. Some dry air right here, across the eastern Caribbean, into the Bahamas, to the north of Jamaica, to the west of Jamaica, into the southwestern Caribbean, the western Caribbean, into the Gulf. There's a lot of dry air, that's dry sinking air. That basically means the atmosphere is too stable to bring forth rainfall and clouds. But we have some moist air right here, some moist air right here, some moist air from Jamaica into the southern or south central Caribbean right down in here. Some moist air down in here where we have the intertropical convergence zone. And we don't really want much moist air right now, considering that there are so many persons still without roofs out west. Regarding the Saharan dust forecast for the next 3 days, we're heading into November 22, November 23, and November 24. And as you can see, for the next 3 days across the Caribbean, Jamaica should be in the clear, the Caribbean should be in the clear. We don't have much in the way of Saharan dust pushing through, just some light shades, low end of the scale Saharan dust pushing into the Lesser Antilles. They won't even notice anything in the sky. We know that the Saharan dust is represented by the greens, yellows, oranges, and the pinks, and we don't even see much of that coming through, even though we see some slight Saharan dust right here. Off the west coast of Africa, it is nothing to worry about at this time, and we're indeed grateful for that, because that the Saharan dust can definitely cause hazy skies, not to mention trigger respiratory illnesses in some persons. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we see that we have the Caribbean shaded in the blues into dark blues and the purples. That represents up to 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights, maybe even up to 2 meter wave heights. And that's because of the winds that are expected. We see more of an easterly, if not east-northeasterly flow across the Caribbean, averaging anywhere from 10 to 15 up to 20 knots, maybe even up to 25 knots, where we see the yellows right here to the west of the ABC Islands, to the north of Colombia. And we know that is why the waves are going to be high over there, where we have the purples 2 to 2.5 meter wave height, exactly where we have the 20 to 25 knot wind. But if we zoom in on Jamaica's wave forecast, to the north of Portland, up to 1 meter wave height expected. To the north of St. Anne, 0.9 of a meter wave height expected tomorrow. To the north of Hanover, 0.9 of a meter wave height expected. To the south of Westmoreland, 0.4 of a meter wave height expected tomorrow. To the south of Clarendon, 0.6 of a meter wave height expected tomorrow. While to the south of St. Thomas, we have 1 meter wave height expected tomorrow. And that is because of the winds that are expected. And if we take a close look, we're definitely going to be having more of an easterly flow for the most part. We were getting on that moist northeasterly flow, especially across the northern parishes. It looks like it's starting to balance out in a way. More of an easterly flow for the most part, averaging about 11 knots, still coming in slightly from the northeast right here, to the north of St. Anne, to the south of St. Thomas, definitely from the east, averaging 11 knots. And we see where the air is expected to pile up. Wherever we have the blues, that is where we have the least amount of wind. That is where we could have some of these low-level clouds becoming mid-level rain clouds, if not upper-level cumulonimbus clouds during the afternoon when we have that daytime heating. And the upper-level wind still coming in from the west, if not the west-southwest tomorrow. So just like today when we had the thunderstorms, if we get thunderstorms tomorrow, the cloud tops are going to be sheared off towards this direction, more so towards the east, northeast, than towards the east or east southeast like what we had today. And if we take a look at the actual rainfall forecast map, so this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for 8 a.m. and we're actually still expecting some moisture across the northeastern end, maybe section of St. Mary into Portland. We see the blues on the Euro and we see the blues on the GFS, maybe even section of St. Anne getting in on some of the action, maybe even far eastern St. Thomas getting in on some of the action. Then by afternoon, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for 3 p.m. on Saturday. And the Euro is showing rainfall, especially across central and western parishes. The GFS showing rainfall, especially across the southern and western parishes. And I'm working with the GFS even more. It definitely makes sense. I'm seeing western St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrews, St. Catherine, Kleiner, Manchester, St. Elizabeth into Westmoreland shaded in the blues. Maybe southern Hanover, southern St. James, southern Trelawney, southern St. Anne, southern St. Mary, southwestern Portland. We'll say it actually plays out. We're definitely going to be in for some rainfall. So if you have laundry to do tomorrow, please ensure that you get that done early. And even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps here from the Euro and the GFS that are both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 3Z on Sunday, which when calculated, this is all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday. We see Jamaica shaded from the eastern end to the western end of the greens into the slight yellows. That represents anywhere from 0.1 of an inch of rainfall up to 0.32 of an inch of rainfall in the Kingston area. The GFS up to 0.35 of an inch of rainfall in the Kingston area. We know it could be more than that, it could be less than that. We have to take these forecasts with a grain of salt. Either way, the main takeaway is that there's definitely going to be rainfall somewhere across the island within the next 24 hours. And we just have to take it. We can't do anything but take it. We're in the month of November, and in St. Mary we usually receive 139 millimeters of rainfall this month. That's about the same as 5.5 inches of rainfall, while in St. Catherine we usually receive 117 millimeters of rainfall this month. That's about the same as 4.6 inches of rainfall. And if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of November or for the entire year, you can visit nomadseason.com, and that website to show you that information. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go out to the next 168 hours. That stands for the next 7 days. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as well as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens that represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. Alright, so we just looked at Saturday's forecast. Now it is time to look at Sunday. 12Z on Sunday is actually 7 a.m. and we see the moisture surrounding the island, also affecting northern and eastern Jamaica at that time on the Euro. And then on Sunday afternoon, we're seeing rainfall more so across the south, central, and western parishes. What does the GFS show? Sunday morning, rainfall across the north and the east. Sunday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What do we see on Monday morning? On Monday morning, maybe some rainfall across the northeast still. On Monday afternoon, we're seeing rainfall across sections of some central and western parishes. What does the GFS show for Monday? Monday morning, rainfall across the northern and eastern end. Monday afternoon, rainfall across some central and western parishes too. Very similar to the Euro. What do we see on Tuesday morning? Not really much. Maybe some dots of greens across the northern edge of the island. Then on Tuesday afternoon, maybe some isolated showers across the eastern to the central end. We'll see. What does the GFS show? For Tuesday morning, nothing at all. For Tuesday afternoon for Jamaica, looks like nothing at all as well. What do we see on Wednesday morning? Wednesday morning, we're seeing moisture to the north of us. On Wednesday afternoon, we're seeing what looks like some greens across the central and western parishes. What does the GFS show? For Wednesday morning, nothing at all. For Wednesday afternoon, nothing at all either. And we're going to be looking at Thursday into Friday now. So Thursday morning on the Euro, not really much, some rainfall to the north of us. Thursday afternoon, maybe some isolated showers across some central and western parishes. And we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for Friday, November 28th. And we see some moisture across the northern parishes and the waters to our north. What does the GFS show for Thursday into Friday? For Thursday morning, rainfall to the south of us. For Thursday afternoon, nothing at all. Then Friday, November 28th, we're seeing not much of anything for us. We see a frontal system extending from the waters to the east of the US down to the southern Gulf. GFS is showing that. The Euro is also showing that. We also see what looks like an increase in moisture across the southwestern Caribbean. We're seeing some dark greens down in there. The Euro is showing something similar. We definitely have to pay close attention to this, even though it's only like the last couple of days in November. I mean, that is the hot spot for development, and we don't want to see any moisture collecting. We don't want to see any red L's. We don't want to see anything like that. Even though the Hurricane Center isn't highlighting anything and the long range models aren't showing anything, we definitely have to stay updated all the way up to the last day of November. And even after November, we have to stay updated because we can definitely have systems that formulate in December for sure. It has happened in the past and it could happen again, but more than likely it won't. And if we take a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the next 7 days, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that is expected from now up until Friday, November 28th. And we can see the dark reds into the purples into the pinks, and that represents up to 2 to 5 inches of rainfall for portions of Central America, Belize into eastern Honduras, eastern Nicaragua, Costa Rica into Panama, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname into Trinidad and Tobago. We know those areas could definitely get on some amount of isolated flash flooding, and the fact that the Euro is showing something similar as well It's definitely possible. Other areas are shaded in the greens, yellows, oranges, and reds. Majority of the Greater Antilles into the Lesser Antilles into the Central America area. Those areas should be getting on an inch of rainfall or less over the next 7 days. And if we zoom in on Jamaica's rainfall totals for the next 7 days, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until Friday, November 28th. And we see that the rainfall has definitely, dwindled down. I guess over the past 2 days, we've been getting on that rainfall that was showing us a lot of colors to the north of Portland. So I guess this is what is left to come over the next 7 days. More so, having Jamaica shaded in the blues into the greens. And that represents anywhere from a millimeter of rainfall, maybe up to 15, maybe 20, 25. The Euro is going up to at least 31 millimeters of rainfall to the north of Portland. The GFS going up to at least 20 millimeters of rainfall into Portland, into Kingston, St. Andrews, St. Thomas. We'll see it actually plays out over the next 7 days, and whatever happens, I will definitely be here to keep you posted if that occurs. Alright, so regarding what's happening across the rest of the basin, as stated, a trough right here to the north of, or the northeast of the Lesser Antilles, a trough right here to the southwest of Jamaica that has quickly pushed towards the west. We see some moisture across Venezuela into Guyana, some moisture that has been affecting Trinidad and Tobago. If we take a look at the Doppler radar imagery, in and around Puerto Rico and the Leeward Islands, what's taking place down there? Not really much of anything, maybe some isolated showers in and around Guadeloupe and Dominica, but that's basically it. Loading these images from earlier today, just a rogue isolated shower activity across southwestern Puerto Rico. That was basically it. The Barbados radar, on the other hand, showing a moist east-northeasterly flow pushing into section of Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, section of Grenada, so too. The waters to the north of Trinidad and Tobago, hitting in on some moisture. Regarding the wider view of Doppler radar images, not really making up much across the northern Bahamas, Florida, or northwestern Cuba, or Central America. We do some moisture affecting the ABC Islands right in here. Regarding the wider view of Doppler radar images, both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement that from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday, there should definitely be some amount of rainfall within the next 24 hours. We're talking about the greens into the yellows into the oranges, and the reds represents an inch of rainfall or less for portions of Belize into Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, section of western and southern Venezuela, the ABC Islands, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, Trinidad and Tobago. Some rainfall definitely possible for portions of St. Lucia, not St. Vincent, but Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe. We see some rainfall in store for portions of the Dominican Republic, Haiti, so to section of Jamaica, southeastern Cuba, the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, the Cayman Islands, getting in on some of that rainfall. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with that forecast, so the chances are higher for it to actually take place. Taking a look at the Eastern Pacific, as you can see here, reloading it, tropical cyclone activity is not expected during the next 7 days, and this is the reason why nothing over here trying to develop at this time. Just a lot of clouds associated with the intertropical convergence zone to the far southeast of Hawaii that is definitely being sheared up towards the east, as you can see there. So Sonia, Tico, Velma, those names are not gonna be acquired at all for the rest of 2025. Regarding the Indian Ocean into the Western Pacific, according to this map right here, no suspect areas across the Western Pacific. This is the reason why nothing trying to develop at this time. That's good, finally getting an number. But we're still watching Tropical Cyclone Fina right here across the northern coastline of Australia. You can see it right here spinning in a clockwise fashion. That's what they do on the southern hemisphere. And as you can see here, it is now packing 70 knot winds. We know that systems that pack anywhere from 65 to 83 knot winds are classified as category 1 hurricanes. So it has made the increase in the intensity up there. As you can see here, it is expected to continue moving southwestward. I mean, look at how slowly it's moving. This is November 21, November 22, November 23, November 24. That's when it's going to be actually making a real landfall. Even though it already made landfall in the portion of far northern Australia, still going to be brushing the coast and making more landfalls right here. But still going to go back overseas before making its final landfall on November 25 around here. Well, November 24 into November 25. And as you can see, the intensity is 70 knots, 75, 80, 85, 80, and then back to 60, 35, 20, of course, when it starts to push inland. So if it's gonna be getting up to 80, 85, we're talking about category 2 status. So there's gonna be some footage. If we actually have people who reside in this part of Australia, the northern part, we're definitely gonna be having some footage coming out, and I'll definitely keep you posted with whatever footage comes out. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.